Hey everybody, it's Kevin here with Interstate Explorers, and in today's video we're doing our 4-week update of our summer road trip with the Brinkley Model Z3100. We are currently getting near the end of our summer road trip with our Brinkley Model Z3100 fifth wheel, and we've learned a lot about the unit. We've had really an awesome time and very little issues, and we'll get into those issues a little bit later. But what I wanted to start with was our route overview and all the places that we've been. So, we left our home in Southern California. We went to Tucson and then to Alamogordo, New Mexico. And then we went through Texas. We went through Abilene, Texas, and then to Eastern Texas and Mount Pleasant, Texas. We cut up to Hot Springs National Park and stayed at the KOA there. And then we spent 2 nights in Branson, Missouri. We continued north to St. Louis, Missouri. And then we cut east to Berea, Kentucky. And then we went to Smoky Mountains National Park and stayed just outside on the North Carolina side in Cherokee. Then we went to Lake Lanier, which is in the Atlanta metropolitan area, and we stayed at the Margaritaville Resort there. And then after that, we drove down south. We stayed at the Jennings, Florida KOA. Jennings is just south of the Florida-Georgia border. And then we found our way to Orlando, and we stayed in the Orlando Southwest KOA. We actually left the trailer, hopped on a plane, went to Puerto Rico, and stayed in San Juan for 2 nights. Then we got back on that plane, came back to Orlando, and drove to Fort Wilderness and stayed in Disney World for 5 nights. And then after Fort Wilderness and Disney World, we started our long trek back to California. After Disney World, we went to Milton, Florida, which is in the Pensacola area. It's just off of I-10, real convenient KOA. Then we cut west and north to Shreveport, Louisiana. Then after Shreveport, we continued and we made it to the Arlington KOA in the Dallas metropolitan area. Now, a lot of people have been curious about Brinkley as a company since they're a brand new company, and the Model 3100 is their first fifth wheel out there, and I think people, they like what they've seen so far, and it's a really attractive unit on both the outside and inside. They've literally done everything right, but I think a lot of people are just kind of worried about some of these first models and some of the kinks that they're going to have. And we've definitely experienced a few small, minor issues, but for the most part, everything is handled really quite well. So we're going to talk about some of the things that have gone wrong, and we'll talk about some of the things that have gone well too. First thing for towing, this is our first experience actually ever towing a fifth wheel. The Model 3100 is just under 15,000 pounds, and it's just under 35 feet, so it's definitely a big unit. We got a new truck to tow it. We have a GMC 3500, and so far the GMC has handled this thing really, really well. There are several times when I'm just driving down the interstate and there's not really people around me where I don't even notice that there's like this large fifth wheel behind me. That's just how smooth it is. We've gotten almost no sway. The only sway we get is sometimes in really high windy conditions if there's like a storm out or something. But anytime that there is sway, the trailer and the truck are quick to correct themselves so it doesn't get that out of control kind of feeling. Haven't experienced that, and I don't think I ever will experience that unless we're in some just extreme situation. There's been some chucking, certainly on some of the more of like the bumpy roads. Shreveport, Louisiana, and Jackson, Mississippi on I-20. Those are bumpy roads. So if you can avoid those, I'd recommend those. And we got a lot of chucking there, a lot of back and forth, a lot of up and downs just because there's like potholes all over the place. Now, one thing that's been kind of worrying people are the trailer brakes, because there is a known issue with the Brinkley's trailer brakes, and the issue has to do with the wiring. And what'll happen is that for some people, they've reported that the trailer brakes just don't even work at all, or some people have experienced like reduced use or diminished use. Luckily, we haven't experienced too much of that. The only thing I will say is as we were pulling into Arlington and we kind of get in the Dallas metro area, I did notice the brakes starting to not be quite as effective as they were before. So luckily we're all on flat ground and I was able to still kind of, work our way around just with the truck brakes, but certainly we're going to want those trailer brakes to work. Now, the good thing is that Brinkley did issue a recall, and they sent all the owners an email, and they've been working with Lippert to get this problem fixed. So we reached out, and Lippert actually sent us a mobile tech while we were in Texas, and we were able to schedule this actually a few weeks in advance, and we kind of told them where we were going to be, and they were able to get a mobile tech to one of the places that we were going to be, at least for more than one night. So we got the mobile tech out. The mobile tech was great, just knocked on the door, said he was here, and didn't need to come inside, didn't need to use the truck. So we were able to keep doing our morning routine. Actually went out and did some errands as well too. He didn't need me there. He just worked completely under the unit. And then one thing to note is that if you do get your brakes replaced by Lippert, which I suggest you do, especially if you got the recall email, is you have to break them in. To break them in is a fairly simple process, but it will take a little bit of time and planning, because what you need to do is you need to get the trailer up to 45 miles an hour, and then you just have to use the trailer brakes to then brake it down to 20. So you get the thing cruising, then you trailer brake it down to 20, no foot brake or no exhaust brake or nothing like that, just break it down to 20, and you need to do this about 10 to 12 times. So we actually found just like an open parking lot, and where it was able to just do it there, but it will take a little bit of time and planning to get those brakes broken in, and now that they're broken in, we have no issues with that. Now, another issue that we've run into, and we actually did a video about this as well, and I'll make sure to link that in the comments, is with the outside Bluetooth speaker. One day, when we were in North Carolina, I was just looking at the underside, and then I noticed the speaker was just dangling down. So what I did is I got my screwdriver and I just screwed it back in. It seemed to be fine. I checked on it for a few more days. Each day, no sign of it falling down or anything. Around Shreveport, Louisiana, because that's where the rough roads were, it was so bumpy that the speaker actually fell out and the speaker's no longer there. And I was looking under the unit and I was like, oh, why are these wires sticking out? And I was like, oh, speakers are gone. So we lost one of the Bluetooth speakers. Luckily, the unit's still under warranty. I'm sure we can get something worked out to get that replaced. Not really too big a deal because we don't really use the outdoor Bluetooth speakers, but definitely something to note that if you're on bumpy roads, you just might want to check those Bluetooth speakers. Another issue we've been having is with the infamous black tank override hatch. I still can't get that thing to stay up. And like I said, I keep threatening to do something permanent to it. I put some double-sided Gorilla Glue tape on that just to try and get it permanently to stay up. That didn't work either. I keep reinstalling the Velcro, so it might just be hammer and nails time. I keep threatening to do it, but basically every time we stop, I pop that thing back up, and it's just kind of, sometimes it pops down, sometimes it doesn't. Luckily, it hasn't led to any major issues, but still kind of a pain. When we've been towing, and especially we've been towing in these bumpy conditions, luckily nothing's really fell so far. When we open the fridge, nothing just comes pouring out on us. When we open the pantry, nothing comes pouring out on us. All the decorations, they don't fall. The only thing so far on the inside that we've noticed is that we do have an air fryer, and the air fryer we secured down with that double-sided Gorilla Glue tape, and that kind of gave out actually a little bit. I think it just bumped up a little bit too much, so I just had to reapply that, and we haven't had any issues really so far with that. But like I said, really no issues with anything moving because of the bumpiness, and we've definitely been on some bumpy roads. We've been on mountain roads, and nothing. Besides the trailer brake issues, besides the Bluetooth, besides a little bit of the rough driving, we've really had zero issues with this thing. We really couldn't be happier. This has just been a really great experience being able to tow and live in this Brinkley for the past 4 weeks. Now, we've done more than just drive this thing across the country, and what I want to talk about is some of the things that we've done. And I've done a 2-week update video, I've done a 3-week update video that's going to go over some of the stuff that we did during that time. It's going to go over that stuff in more detail, so I'll make sure to link those in case you're interested in watching that. But I'm going to briefly go over those things in week 1, 2, and 3, and then I'm going to spend more time on the stuff we've done recently during our 4th week. So, we left our home in Southern California, and basically our goal was to haul out to the central time zone. So we spent the night in Tucson, we went to Alamogordo, we went to Abilene, we went to Mount Pleasant, Texas. Then we made our way up to kind of our first big stop, Hot Springs National Park. We went to the downtown area there, we got some pizza, and then we did some hiking around that area. After that, we went up to Branson and we explored their downtown area. They call it the Strip there. We went to Silver Dollar City. And then after that, we went to St. Louis and we went to a Cardinals game because we're trying to get to every single baseball stadium. So we checked another one of those off the list. After that, we needed to get to the Eastern time zone. So we cut across Illinois, Indiana, and Kentucky and ended up in Berea, Kentucky. And then after that, we went to Smoky Mountains National Park. While near Smoky Mountains National Park, we went to Dollywood, and we also did some hiking in Smoky Mountains National Park. We went to Klingman's Dome, we went to the Newfound Gap, and we went to Mingo Falls, and we also did the Blue Ridge Parkway. After leaving Smoky Mountains National Park, we went to Lake Lanier, which is in the Atlanta metropolitan area. We went to the Margaritaville Resort. We went to the water park there, and then we explored downtown Atlanta and went to Six Flags Over Georgia. And then we made our way down to Florida. We flew to Puerto Rico. I've got a video about that. I'll make sure to link that. And then we went to Disney World. I've got another video about our time in Disney World with some tips for Disney World success because Disney World's a whole thing when it comes to planning. I'll make sure to link that video. And then that basically brings us up to week 4. Our first night after Disney World was spent in Milton, Florida. We stayed at the Milton KOA, which is in the Pensacola area, and it's just off the 10 freeway. And it's really easy to get to, and I actually really like this KOA a lot because it was convenient. They had long pull-through sites. They guide you to the sites, which I always appreciate. It was really easy in, really easy out, and it was just a really nice, relaxing experience after a long day of driving and a lot of just like Disney World stuff and just being kind of on overdrive from that. After that, we drove to Shreveport, Louisiana. We drove through Alabama. We drove through Mississippi and Louisiana. This was probably our roughest drive of the entire trip because it was so bumpy. In Mississippi, near Jackson, in the I-20, I-55 in particular, that interchange area, super bumpy, potholes everywhere, rough roads, not a great experience. I was just worried about things falling in the trailer the whole time. And then in Shreveport, as you're getting into the KOA on I-20, that was really rough and bumpy as well, too. And either in Shreveport or in Mississippi, one of those two places, I'm sure that's where we lost a speaker, and it's sitting there on the side of the road somewhere. After Shreveport, we went into Texas, and we stayed at the Arlington KOA. And the Arlington KOA, we stayed there for 2 nights, and we went to a Frisco Rough Riders game. And the Frisco Rough Riders are the AA affiliate of the Texas Rangers, and one of the big draws of why we wanted to go to this minor league baseball game is because of their stadium. The stadium is actually really nice, and it's really easy to get to. It's in the Frisco area, which is just outside of Dallas. But the cool thing about it is that they have a lazy river, and we were really intrigued by this, and the tickets are pretty cheap too. So you pay $25 per person, and you get to just watch the game in this lazy river that sits in right field and in center field a little bit too. The only thing that was a bummer is that this thing was like super crowded. I mean, they probably packed like hundreds of people into this lazy river, so it's kind of standing room only. It was kind of gross. It was hot out. Definitely a unique experience. We enjoyed being in there, but then after a few innings or so, we were just kind of done with it and ended up just walking around the park and just kind of enjoying the game there as opposed to staying the whole time in the lazy river because it was crowded. The next day, we had our trailer brakes fixed. The mobile tech came out. We got some errands done while he was doing that. We got the oil change on the GMC because we've hit those miles already. And then we went to a Texas Rangers game. And like I said earlier, we're trying to get to every baseball stadium, and Texas Rangers was one of the stadiums that we have not been to. This is a brand new stadium. It's an indoor stadium, or I should say it's one of those ones with the retractable roof. It was hot out, so it was closed, and we were in the AC, and it was a nice brand new stadium. They were playing the Dodgers that night. The Rangers and Dodgers are good. Tickets were expensive. We only got standing room only, so we didn't have seats, but we still enjoyed walking around the stadium and just being part of that kind of cool environment of 2 really good teams playing each other. And they had huge concourses and just lots of vendors, and it was a really fun experience being there at the Texas Rangers game. Thank you for watching our Week 4 update. That brings us to where we are right now. We'll be cutting through and continuing on our way back to California in Week 5, and we'll make sure to post a video about that as well, too. So, we want to hear your questions about the Brinkley. We want to hear your concerns about the Brinkley. We want to know if you're interested in purchasing a Brinkley in the future, if you have a Brinkley. We've had a great time in the units so far, and we want to hear more from you guys about your questions and your thoughts about it. So make sure to like and subscribe, and until next time, keep exploring.